Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we have entered day 169 of the ongoing war between the Russian Federation and Ukraine. And I went ahead today and I wanted to start off on the Crimean airbase attack. And first and foremost, I think it's very, very important to eliminate the Russian suggestion that what happened at the Crimean airbase was a accident, was a Russian soldier dropping a cigarette on some sort of explosive area and thus causing the accident. That is not what occurred. And as you can see here, this is a satellite image. Now, obviously, is it possible that this satellite image has been photoshopped? Of course, absolutely it is. Now, is it likely that this is a photoshopped image from these satellite services? I would say no at this point. But what we want to do is look at what happened and just also at the same time look at the ramifications of what this means. So you're looking at a strike for all intents and purposes 100 miles behind Russian lines in a very, very protected enclave of the Russian Federation, which is the Crimea. And look, we can go back and forth and who possesses what and who has rightful claim on Crimea. But right now, the Russians maintain full control of Crimea and have done so for many years now. So I'm just going to call it what it is, and we can debate that at a later date. But if we look at this map and or look at the satellite image, and we look at this, so you have a couple of different things going on here that's very interesting. So you have a couple of different aim points that were hit, and I'll start in the kind of north west quadrant. So right here, you have a impact point. You can see a crater around the blast point. If we go in a clockwise motion to the east, and again I'll try to explain this as we continue, and I believe we could be looking at multiple types of weapon systems that hit this facility, this airbase. As we continue to go east, you'll see another strike point here. Again, these are craters. Further to the east, possibly another. Obviously, it was an aim point. It was a building that has blown up. Is there? Yeah, you can see a crater there. You can see the upturned earth a bit. And if you go back around all the way back over to here, you can see another strike point. You can see this was a berm that looked a lot like this, and this berm has been blown out. Okay, so you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 strike points of something that was fairly large. And again, we don't know what that something was. Obviously, it possibly had a range if it was used from direct Ukrainian controlled territory, again, in excess of 100 miles, more like 140 miles. Next, you see the aircraft that have been destroyed, and it's significant. So if we start from the outer berm and work our way around the outer layer of berm, so you have 1, possibly 2, 3 aircraft, and then we're going down to the inner berm, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 aircraft. And then down here on the tarmac, you got possibly more aircraft, and it's difficult to say how many were destroyed down here at this location as well. Now, if you look at the strike points, in all probability, this aircraft right here too was probably destroyed. So you have this aim point here, and I'm guessing fragmentation. You can tell it kind of blew out the corner of this berm, the outer portion of this berm, and probably impacted that aircraft as well. But at the same time, you also have to wonder if other munitions were not used as well. So case in point, this aircraft right here where my cursor is circling, obviously you have this aim point that is hit. It blew out the berm, and but it doesn't explain why this aircraft here is burnt out. Obviously some explosive material could have rained down on top of it. Difficult to say. But we can't exclude the possibility that some sort of smaller weapon was used in this attack as well. But we don't know that. Is it possible that everything that you see in terms of the destruction that was caused by these 1, 2, 3, 4 aim points? Yeah, possibly. Now, this damage over here on the tarmac, that would probably have been done by the strike of this aim point over here. So what did this? What caused this type of damage? And again, I'm only looking at one area. I'm not looking at the entire base right now. We're just looking at this area. And ultimately, we don't know. Is it inside the realm of possibility that it was an ATACMS fired from a HIMAR? Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say you also can't rule out the possibility, and I've talked about this before, and I'll get pushback on it, on an F-35 strike as well. Is this indicative of possible like a 500-pound or a small diameter bomb impact point? Probably not. They're pretty sizable craters. Is it outside the realm of the small diameter bomb? No, it's not, I would say. But again, this was not done by a Russian soldier dropping a cigarette. This was a very, very well coordinated, very precise strike on a major Russian airbase deep inside of what Russia considers its territory. And this really opens up a whole nother can of worms for this conflict, because I would anticipate that if the Ukrainians or whoever launched this strike has this capability, it's going to be used again, and it will probably be used. It will probably be used, if it's not currently being used, against targets maybe in Belarus. We know obviously the Russians have airfields they are operating from inside of Belarus, and then also inside of Russia proper. Other air bases could be targeted by this weapon system. The Russians have deployed the S-400, S-300. The full range of Russian air defense capability is located in the Crimea. It is a very, very sensitive target for the Russians, and it is very, very well defended. Outside of Moscow and areas near St. Petersburg and Murmansk, it's probably one of the most well-defended locations in the Russian Federation. So having this kind of capability to hit a Russian airbase and do major damage, look, in all probability, all these aircraft are no longer serviceable. And then also the aircraft that you're not seeing here as well, which may have been towed away. I mean, you could be looking at in excess of 14 Russian aircraft that may have been destroyed in this strike. So again, not a guy dropping a cigarette. This was a strike from either some sort of cruise missile, ballistic missile, like an ATACMS. You cannot rule out the probability and the possibility that some Western nations maybe taking a more active participation in this conflict. And in terms of weapon systems that are being delivered to the Ukrainians now, nothing's off the table. I would just assume at this point, if I was Russia, that any weapon system the U.S. is currently using is outside of tactical nuclear weapons is now in the hands of Ukrainian forces. I mean, I would go so far as to say that the Ukrainians could have the Tomahawk. I mean, everything is being used right now. You have the HIMARS. This could have been an ATACMS. You have the high-speed anti-radiation missiles, Brimstone, Javelin, Hellfire. Everything is being used right now by the Ukrainians. Everything is being delivered to them, and that's why now Russia considers that it is, for all intents and purposes, actively fighting Western nations in this ongoing war. But very, very interesting satellite footage, very, very devastating attack that occurred against Russian forces. Look, Russians, they're just not going to be able to write this off as someone tossing a cigarette. That's not what happened here. This was a very well coordinated, very precise strike on this airbase that resulted in the destruction of quite a few Russian warplanes on the ground. And again, we don't got to look at other images that have been taken, but we don't know that the airbase was hit elsewhere. But this is kind of the meat and potatoes of the strike, in which has probably caused the most damage. Let's see if I can navigate over to the main tactical map, and let's see if it went over. So we're back here over at the main war map, where you can kind of see everything that's going on. And what I'll do, where you, the viewer, can see exactly where this strike occurred, and it was right here. And this was the image that you were seeing. So prior to the strike, there were aircraft here, and obviously aircraft that were struck here. We'll have to get more imaging of other areas of the airfield at a later date. But again, devastating strike on Russian forces. In other news, we continue to see heavy fighting taking place both in the west of the Dnieper River, and at the same time towards Bakhmut and other areas in the eastern portion of Ukraine. Heavy fighting continues on the outskirts of Bakhmut as Russian forces continue its pressure campaign against the Ukrainian forces. Again, not a lot of territory changes. Up here you'll notice the Russians have pushed forward a bit, and we'll kind of go back in time just to kind of verify that. So we'll go back to July 28th. And you can see the Russian forces get pushed back, but it's still contested in the gray area. Push back further, Ukrainian forces move in, and this is south of Izum. And then the Russian forces then push back into this area, which it was at one point it was grayed out. So that fighting continues in that area as well. See if we can get the conversion over to the tactical map. Did it change? It did indeed. And you can clearly see kind of the main routes continuing of the Russian advance towards Bakhmut. You can see the defense lines, the primary defensive units for the Ukrainian military defending Bakhmut is the 58th Motorized Rifle Brigade, the 72nd Mechanized Brigade, and the 4th Tank Brigade held up in reserve for the defenders within the area of Bakhmut, predominantly protecting the outskirts of Bakhmut, running along the M3 highway, is 58th motorized brigade. And the Russians again continue its high pressure campaign against Ukrainian forces. And again, you can clearly see the tactical situation. You can see the deployment of Ukrainian forces, which is sizable. There are probably in excess of 20 Ukrainian brigades now running from northwest of Sloviansk all the way down through Seversk in the northeast to Bakhmut in this area. But the war continues, and obviously we will continue to monitor. I'm very, very interested to find out what weapon system was used in that strike against the Russian airbase. Is it possible, again, kind of backtracking, that it was a indigenous Ukrainian system? It is. It could have been something known as the Thunder or Grom that the Ukrainians had developed with other partner nation states. It was originally an export weapon system, but who's to say? It's possible that they do have some of those deployed. They're a lot like the Iskander, a bit smaller, but still they do have the range to hit targets in Crimea. A version of the Neptune could have been used. Not a great feat to throw a GPS receiver on there and make some modifications to hit ground targets. But again, the layered air defense system that the Russians had installed in Crimea should have been able to protect that airbase from attack, but it was not able to. That airbase was effectively destroyed, or large portions of it, especially the air squadrons that were based there. But again, we'll continue to cover and bring you more content for your consumption. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great and lovely day, and we will talk again soon. Good day.